Hey everybody, I am Jer. Today I want to talk about pump and dumpers, or pump and dumpers, pump and dumps, all of that. We're going to talk about all of that. I want you to, I'm not going to advise you, but I'm going to say that you should be very careful when following pump and dumpers, people who pump and dump stocks. What I mean by pump and dump and what a pump and dump is whenever someone with a large following will say, hey, everybody look at this stock. And whenever they mention it, because there's so many people following them, those people will then follow and get in. Whenever those people get in, the pump and dumper, before they ever even mention the stock, has already gotten a position in the stock. They mention the stock goes up. Whenever the stock goes up because of these people getting in because they mentioned it, those pump and dumpers oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes will pull out and take the profit. And the stock will then fall off from that. Then a lot of times, because it falls off from that high, the people who have gotten in will then be like, oh crap, I better get out. So then they sell. The stock price goes down more. Once it goes down more, pump and dumper can then either just leave it or be like, okay, this is kind of settled down. I'm going to hop back in. They hop back in. They talk about it again. Once they talk about it again, those same people that sold out, or maybe even more people now, get back in, causing it to go back up, oftentimes higher than what it was at before. Pump and dumper again sells, makes their money, and then these people who have gotten in can either say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell, or I'm just going to hang on. And if they sell, stock price goes a little bit further down, but more people see this and say, oh, this is an opportunity, let me get in. Then they'll get in, the stock will kind of like go back up midway or whatever. And again, pump and dumper can mention again or be totally done because they've already made their money. And like that's what they care about. So that's how pump and dumpers make money. That's how they make their profits. That's how you see a lot of pump and dumpers like flaunting their money as they spend it, because they have this following and they know they have this following, and if they mention a stock, people are going to get in. Now then, the stocks that they're getting into are usually low float, meaning that there's few shares available for trading and buying. So whenever there's a limited supply of something, there's supply and demand, obviously. So you're going to have this limited supply of shares of a stock in a company, and then you're going to have this high demand because this pump and dumper that has 500,000 or 800,000 or however many followers, these followers are getting in. This limited stock, this limited shares, then because they're so limited, the price of them can shoot up an extreme amount because there's very few and there's all this demand now. So the stock price goes up and the pump and dumper can then get out. What other people outside of whoever follows that pump and dumper are seeing is this stock shoot up for what looks like no reason, and they're like, oh crap, I got to get in. I don't know what's happening. There's probably going to be some news. I better get in. They get in, which also help with making the stock price shoot up. Now then, the problem with this is that a lot of times the shares, the company that this pump and dumper is pushing is kind of junk and probably overpriced at whatever it's at, whatever the shares are trading at now. And maybe they have some kind of good catalyst or whatever, but whatever this pump and dumper is saying is usually kind of on the extreme side of what this company should be valued at. Whenever I talk about this, what I'm meaning is, and pump and dumpers are very open about this. They will, like a lot of them, some of them won't, but some of them will be very transparent about what they're doing. That they are picking out shit companies that they're pushing to try to get people to get into. They're making their money by pulling out at that point. They dump it, take their profit, either keep on playing that or move on to their next stock. They will admit that. So I don't have anything against like Zach Morris, Mr. Zach Morris on Twitter or others, because they're very transparent about what they're doing. So people should understand this. You just have to learn how to play it. And like I said, whenever they're very open about this. They're very open about what they're doing. So I don't have, like, if they were not transparent about what they're doing, I'd probably be like, ew, that's bad. Why are they not like explaining this? But they're very transparent. In fact, here is Zach Morris right now.
Great recovery on CYN, guys. Like I said, 3.5 million flow. Quiet period ends soon. They can't offer. They can't sell. So these are fucking easy money. They all end up going hard. Yeah, we're going to have some dips and some ugly days. That's all part of the game. That's why we're swingers. You know, we're not selling that day. Yeah, we're going to sell when it's really pretty. Then we're going to find a new one and do the same with that one. We're not in these companies because we think they're profitable. No, they're all garbage. All right. Love you. Bye.
Okay, so that explains it. That explains exactly what Mr. Zach Morris on Twitter and others are doing. They are picking out stocks that may have okay fundamentals, maybe, and have some okay catalyst, maybe, but really they feel like these stocks are just junk, like these companies are just junk. Now then, I will talk about companies that I believe in and that I feel like people should be getting into, but I'm not going to pump and dump them necessarily. What I prefer doing is finding companies that have decent fundamentals or have some good catalysts or are in a market that is seeing a lot of increased interest that could mean that company ends up being worth a lot more in the future. Or they have really great fundamentals and maybe people just don't realize what this company is. So I want to talk about it to kind of help get people behind it. Now then, does that mean I won't sell along the way? No, that absolutely does not mean I won't sell along the way. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't either. If you are in a company like this, that has decent fundamentals that you're pushing, that you believe in, it's okay to take profits along the way. It is absolutely fine to take profits along the way. In fact, that's what I do. I believe in that because you don't want to, if something goes wrong, you don't want to have all of your money in one company or one stock. So you take your profits, and whenever I say take profits, I don't mean sell the stock and be done with it. That's not what taking profits is for me. Whenever I say taking profits, I mean to take what I've made from holding that stock, like the profit on top of what I put in originally, I take that money and I will put it into something else. Or take it out and just keep it and just save it. So I will take profits. And sometimes there'll be some bad news that comes out about a company that I believe in, that I've talked about, and I'll be like, yikes, I need to get out. I probably won't tell you. I've done it before, like with Waiter, where I talked about taking profits and that didn't go over so well. And most people aren't going to tell you whenever they sell because it's bad for the people who are still in it. So once you get into a company, it is your responsibility to watch that company, to determine when to get out, and to know what's happening with that company. Because I'm not going to tell you whenever I get out. The pump and dumpers, people on Twitter or other social networks are not going to tell you whenever they sell, because they may be selling for different reasons. And on top of that, it's like I got kind of called out for selling my waiter, like selling and getting profits, taking the profits, because that leaves other people in kind of a bad position, because it makes it seem like you're just leaving bag holders. So definitely get into stocks whenever you're comfortable with it, whenever you're comfortable and you believe in a company, and watch that company and know what's happening with that company, and know when you want to get out, because nobody else is going to tell you when. Pump and dumpers won't. I won't tell you when to sell, and nobody's going to tell you when you need to sell. And if they do, then I guess good for them, but most likely they're not going to tell you when to sell, and that's absolutely fine. You need to manage that. You need to be responsible for the stocks you're in, and that's another reason why I don't have anything against pump and dumpers, because they're very transparent, hopefully, about what they're doing, and talking about how they're doing it. So a way to win with pump and dumpers is to, once the stock is mentioned, for one, don't get into a stock. Like if you're seeing a stock shoot up, know why it's shooting up before you get in. So don't think, oh my gosh, there must be news. Wait until you know that news, because it's going to fall off from that probably anyway. You definitely will. It's going to fall off from that spike and then settle, and then you can get in. So don't feel bad about missing out because there might be news. Find out what the news is before you get in. And maybe it is just that there's a pump and dumper talking about it. So the way to make money off of the pump and dumpers is this. And I'm telling, it's very volatile. Like those stocks will go crazy whenever a pump and dumper talks about them. So you need to know not to get in whenever that initial talk about, and know that people are going to sell out. There's going to be a drop, a dip off of that spike, and it's going to settle off, most likely. Sometimes not, but most likely there's going to be a dip. At that point is when you need to watch and find the place where it's going to settle, and be confident that it's going to spike back up off of that. That would be when I would get in. If you don't understand stocks, I don't recommend trying to make money off of pump and dumpers, because it can go either way, and most likely it's more likely that you're going to lose money than it is that you're going to make money, and it's better just to avoid it altogether. But if you're going to do it, wait for the dip off of the spike and for funds to settle, and I say that you should only do it if you would be okay being stuck in that stock. So like I will talk about like I talk about Waiter a lot, and I even talk about MULN Automotive, and I talk about Paltalk. These companies, like, okay, so Waiter is something I really believe in. I really believe it's undervalued. I own it. I am holding it. If it goes up some, I might sell some to take profit, but I am holding on to it. My original entry point was like 99 cents. It's kind of dropped off of that since, but it's also shot up before, and I took profits from that. So I'm still in it. I still believe in the company. I believe in their fundamentals. I believe in their catalyst and what they have happening. And I think that they have a great future, that they've made investments and changes in the company to show that they have a good future, beyond just being a food delivery service, which food delivery services I think are going to struggle now because pandemic is kind of winding down and people are actually going back out again. Whereas like some of those food delivery services have nothing else going on. Waiter actually is working on installing point of sale systems at restaurants. They're also doing food delivery in stadiums as people go back to watching games You can actually get food delivery through Waiter at some stadiums. And they're also going into cannabis and cannabis delivery, along with going into payment processing. So I really believe in them as a company. If you watched any of my videos, you know that. I don't need to retell you. Of course, there's other videos here. You can also look at my channel for other videos on them. MULN Automotive. This one's kind of an interesting one. So Mr. Zach Morris did push MULN. At the time, whenever he pushed it, I believe it was at like $9, and it went up to, I believe, like $13, and then it kind of fell off. This is what I will actually use pump and dumpers for. I will watch a stock. I will, whatever they're pushing, I go into and I will do DD on them, due diligence on those stocks. And I will create a report if I feel like, if I find enough good stuff about the company, I will create a report to like pull it all together. So MULN was one that Mr. Zach Morris pushed. They went to like 13 and then they fell off of that. I started watching them and I went and did DD on them, and I was like, okay, so now that they've done this spike, they're going to do this fall and they're going to settle at some point. They are an EV company. Electric vehicle companies right now have a lot of attention given to them. Some of them are probably overpriced, but most EV stocks for electric vehicle manufacturers are in the billions of dollars right now, even if they haven't made anything, like Canoe and some others, Rivian. So they're in the billions. MULN has made investments into a manufacturing plant, and they've created an SUV, the 5, and they are only, with 51 million shares altogether, their total value right now is like 300 million or something like that. So I do believe that they will probably get $2 billion in market cap, in value. So I've waited and I waited for it to kind of fall off and find a good settling point. I feel like that settling point, all the 51 million shares are not on the market yet, but as they get on the market, you'll end up with 51 million shares. So doing the math for market cap, you want to do 51 million shares right now. It may be more. They may end up doing an offering later on or whatever. So it might end up being more. But for now, 51 million shares times the stock price is what you would get for their market cap. So whatever the stock price is times 51 million shares. And so keep that in mind. With where it's at, with MULN trading, where it's at with 51 million shares, to me, they are worth $17 a share, but that's to me. That's what I think. But you need to find a settling point before, like, where it's going to settle at, which right now is like $6 or something like that, and then determine to get in. And then, like, if you're going to invest, get in and just hold it and see what happens, but keep up with the company. So like I said, Zach Morris has pushed this stock. He got it to 13 and I just kind of left it alone, and it's fallen off. I like stocks like that have maybe not decent fundamentals, because MULN doesn't have really fundamentals yet because they're not making any money, but they have great catalyst and they have future potential to make money. Are they undervalued? No, because they aren't making anything, so they can't really be undervalued. But compared to other EV automakers, they would be undervalued compared to other automakers that are doing the exact same thing. They are, that haven't created any vehicles yet, but that have plans to create vehicles. Comparatively, MULN is undervalued compared to those. Yes. So anyway, my point is this: if you are going to follow pump and dumpers, know what you're doing and know what stocks they're talking about, know what the companies are, and be comfortable being stuck in those stocks or having to hold those stocks if you buy in and they drop off because it's very likely that they will drop off, because once a pump and dumper is done with stock, they're done. They may come back to it in a month or something, or they may swing it and hold it off and on for a few days, but then once they're done, you're not going to hear about it again for a while until that stock loses a lot of value and gets to a good point that they can get back in and push it again. And then, who knows what can happen if they ever even come back to it. So just understand how pump and dumping works, and know that you need to protect your money, because pump and dumpers and others and people who you watch on videos like me are not going to tell you when to sell. I'm not going to tell you when to sell. They're not going to tell you when to sell. So you need to protect your money. Take profits when you can. Only get in if you are comfortable with ending up having to hold that stock for the long term. And then know when you want to get out. Because like I said, nobody's going to push that button for you. Okay, that's all I got. Love you all so much. Also, wait. If you haven't yet, go to stockvoyager.com/free and sign up for Robinhood or Webull for free shares of stock. If you haven't signed up for Cash App, sign up for Cash App and you can get free money. And sign up for Lolly, which gives you free Bitcoin just by shopping. Okay, now I'm done. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye. Mwah.